Hi there, Budget Build here with,
Sin.
and we're coming at you today with another paint tutorial. We have our, Sin's Necron army.
And hopefully you can find something useful about it.
Ah, gotta love those.
We
Go
did
ahead.
have a comment about usefulness, so we are going to make sure that we put that in there because I mean there's some advantages of knowing some things about painting. For instance, on this Necron Warrior, oh my gosh, these Necrons, I had so much. I had to make a decision on color, and there were so many things to choose from, so many examples and inspirations out there. But I didn't. I knew I didn't want to go with the original. And based on the map that this came in, or the commander set came in, it was a desert map. So at first I was going to do a bone look for the base of the skull, the arms, the legs, and you'll see later that I changed my mind. I actually spent several hours debating on what to do.
It's like, you always have the hardest time with the first few brush strokes. Like, it's like really, like, getting what you have in your head, how you're gonna get it on that figure, and what exactly do you want in the first place. Can be a little confusing.
Yeah, and here's the gold, the yellow that they sent with us in
Yeah,
the commander set. Earlier, we stated how it is a great base when you're trying to put the technical green onto it, and I believe that's how you're supposed to do it, where it comes through and creates a type of lighting, a glow. And once this yellow base is on there, you put the technical green on it as after it's dried real good, which doesn't take long on these plastic figures. And then it looks like this really fluorescent glowing green.
that's the coolest thing about plastic figures because we started out painting metal ones, and if it was cold, you might wait 30 minutes or something to come back through with your second coat because the metal stays cold. It just doesn't want to dry
Yeah,
on there.
and depending on how heavy the paint is.
Then you get out the blow dryer, and then you start smearing your paint everywhere. It's great. It's great.
Is that what you did?
No, I'm just playing.
Now, someone did comment something useful, and it reminded us to just keep the paint flowing by barely dipping your brush in water and thinning it out a little bit. With these paints, it works great, but if you're working with your acrylic, if you water it down too much, the next coat of paint, it'll basically slide off.
Yeah, it won't adhere properly.
So we were used to working with acrylics. These paints adhere very well. You might like the technical green does take a couple layers. It's more of a translucent type
It,
of color.
it's more of a wash.
Yeah, it reminds me of a wash.
It's very watery, just like the earth shade that you see being used later. There's some really nice colors in this set. New materials always require a little bit of new technique. You always have to get accustomed to what you're doing. And I was also trying out to do some lighting on my last paint where that comment was made, and we try to work on some new techniques that we had saw. Give a little shout out to Squidmeyer if anybody watches his videos. I mean,
He's great.
yeah, it'll really teach you.
It'll give you inspiration if at the minimal.
Yeah, and you just got to keep your focus on what you're doing. You want to make sure that you always try to increase your skills. That way you're not just stagnant in what you're doing. Any criticism, no matter how it comes across, can be good criticism if you try to improve yourself.
Yeah, no matter the intent, you can
Yeah,
always learn something from it.
I really like the red base you went through with their armor. I thought it really popped.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant about it because I really am not a fan of green and red together, but it turned out better than I thought it would. And then we watched a tutorial with Squidmeyer about the lighting.
Yeah,
Yeah, and prior to that, I used to highlight and also do a dark wash to sink into the shadows of the figure. But I wanted to try. We both wanted to try the lighting technique, and the first couple of figures for me on the Necrons didn't turn out as good, but for you it turned out great. The larger areas to actually highlight was easier, I think.
yeah, I think that made that process a lot easier. The Necrons are a lot smaller, a lot more detail to try to work in on those. I mean, making a small little error trying to do something on a small
It
surface
was
space.
definitely a challenge for me.
Yeah, because you're working in proportions when you're doing any kind of shading, lighting, shadowing, whatever. You're trying to make everything seem to a realistic standard,
Yeah.
and then any kind of like small variation on a, something like that is detrimental to what look you're trying to go for.
And I love detail, so these figures are extremely detailed. I do love that. It is also tedious.
Yeah, make sure with the faces that
That's
when,
Avril and Sunset.
yeah, that you put the right faces with the right figures. If you don't put the right ones, the faces will tend to want to fall off. So and so when these were put together already, and some of them I think the faces were a little mixed up, right? Because they kept wanting to fall off some of them.
Oh yeah, and I think after putting them together, these were already put together. Certain pegs go into certain parts, and just because they look the same does not mean they fit the same. So the instructions are pretty important. At first, I thought, oh, they just printed out wrong, or the hole is just too big for the peg. But I think certain ones are supposed to have certain pieces with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just ended up super gluing it because I didn't want the cats to eat it.
That's the fun part about doing miniatures with cats is they definitely want to play with your toys as well.
They want to paint. They want to step in your paint.
They want to lick your paint water. Try to stop that
They
one.
just love doing what we do.
Yes, they do. They're really rambunctious little critters is what they are. It's nice to have them around while you're doing stuff like this. It's a little, I don't know, it eases the tension of focus, right? When you focus for so long, like when you're painting or maybe when you're building, whatever you may be doing, it's nice to have something that will break up the monotony, you know?
It is. Because you can, I mean, it's nice for your eyes to get a rest.
Exactly. And then, most of the time we'll watch like King of the Hill or something. That's our paint videos. We'll listen to King of the Hill while we're painting or building or
Yeah.
editing, just to get a good laugh. It's about having fun. We enjoy doing this. Why, stress out at any.
We're not experts at it yet.
No, and I don't really ever plan on being an absolute expert. I want to be good at what I do, but I'm not worried about being an expert. I like showing off to you, to you guys that like to watch, or anybody that wants to learn something. You might learn something from me and take it to another level.
Because some people are intimidated by painting.
Yes, it takes patience.
It does.
And detail. You just take it one step at a time, like anything. Though you have a task, like let's say you're building, a smokehouse, or you're building a brick mailbox or something. You don't have to think about the whole structure all at once. You just do it one brick at a time, and just take your time. Step back, and you look, you're further along than you realized you were. The red on the scarabs was really cool. It was the green popped right through when she put the red on.
And I put a wash on over the earth shade over that. And then I went over with an acrylic pearl white. It's kind of a metallic, transparent, translucent white. And then gave it like a little shine, metallic shine. It lightened any heavy colors up without making it look too bright.
Yeah, because you wanted it to seem, setting appropriate. 40K is a dark, grim, sci-fi, fantasy world.
It's nice to see some pops of color, and then thought it was cool after reading about them that their weapons are made out of like warp material.
It's made out of warp material.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's Necrons have a really interesting backstory if you look into it. They're made by, I guess, the things that seeded all the races, the old ones, I think they're called, and they were jealous because they didn't have immortality and they couldn't access the warp, and their worlds had made them sickly the way they were born at, because it was near I think some kind of black star or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it kind of corrupted their genetics.
I think of Black Star. I think of you both from the Rogue Trader game.
When I think of Black Star, I think of Dragon Ball. I think of
Oh
GT. Yeah, the Black Star Dragon Balls were,
I wouldn't know anything about it.
It's okay. GT is okay. It's not great. But yeah, so there's a Black Star that they're born around, and that's the same thing you're thinking of with the
There's
U-Ball.
Gizmo.
They all go Giz. That's the same thing you're thinking of with the Uvas story in Rogue Trader. It's the same thing. It's not the same star, but it's the same kind of star that caused that radiation on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so they made a deal with the Catan.
The Necrons did.
Yes, and the Catan turned them into machines, and they gave up, all semblance of mortality. And after they fought with the Eldar, and everything kind of came to a close, the old ones were gone, their revenge was settled, and the Catans were bound by them and the Eldar. They just went into hiding.
Well, I thought the Catan tricked them into an agreement of getting souls.
I think so. I think you're right.
We need to get to know our lore better, but
Yeah, you're right. They did because they seek out certain souls, but then they bound them later. I think they
I
didn't
haven't
want to
read everything yet, but
Yeah, there's some. I think one evidence of them finding some glyphs, but you're painting your Overlord right now, right?
yes, I am.
I like how you really layered the colors on this person.
I wanted him to stand out.
Yeah, I'm of the school of thought, right? Like when you're doing armies, your base guys, they have about 2 colors. They have about maybe 3 colors.
Yeah.
And then your middle guys, they have 3 to 4.
That's what I was thinking too.
And
like
your main guy, yeah.
More embellishment, extra royal colors.
It's
especially for a caste system that the Necrons usually have.
Yeah, they even call their like families. They call them dynasties.
Yeah.
And they travel around in big space mausoleums.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn more about them.
They're kind of like a death cult because they're always dying all the time. I mean, it's really sad.
It is.
They don't have psychic abilities. Yeah, they were born without that.
Is that what it says?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what made space travel so slow for them. They couldn't traverse the warp. They couldn't access the warp or traverse it. But they did gain access to the webways later. That's a really nice shading with that technical. Is it technical?
It took layers, yeah.
Yeah. The technical
color.
Yeah, technical green.
Yeah, it's a Tesseract glow.
Tesseract glow.
It's considered technical because they've labeled their paints so you kind of understand how to use them. Man,
okay.
We're running low on that too. I must have used a lot of it. Oh.
Thank you for joining in with us. I hope you like the paint tutorial. It's pretty simple, right? You just gotta be patient and just really think about what you're putting forth and what your goal is and your theme you're going for.
And enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Take the time to relax while you're doing it.
Yeah, you can come up with your own paint scheme. You don't always have to follow somebody else's, or just enjoy your time. Look up on Reddit, look up on Google, find what you enjoy. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe. If you like the video, smash that like button. And if you want to stick around and talk, comment section down below. And if you want to participate, our cash tag is down below. We just want to thank you and have a nice day.
See ya.